He wants a link or ID number. He's trying to change to his.
Send me his number. Check me his number.
Okay. Okay, are we ready to go?
We are live on Facebook.
Well, hello, friends. Hope you are enjoying your, what is this, Monday afternoon or Monday evening now. Listen, y'all know how I love a good conversation. And can I tell you, you are in for a good one on this evening. So would you just invite a few friends, you or your friends, I may not even know them, but invite them to be a part of this conversation. I'm having a little trouble getting one of my panelists on, so we're just doing a little switching up here. But while I'm getting them on, you get some of your friends on and tell them it's time for conversations with Linda. So I'm still working on this. I hope you've been having a great day. I hope you are making your way through this coronavirus. President said, well, we already knew that we got 30 more days of this, and I don't think that caught any of us by surprise. It may have caught him by surprise, but it didn't catch any of us by surprise. If you're like me, I'm like, oh, how are we going to have this over and done with by Easter? But okay, we're in it now. But I believe that God's going to bring us on the other side of this with victory. All right, so y'all with me? Let me know that you're on with me. Y'all, I'm getting all of this down, right? I'm trying to get it all down so that I can figure that I can work the camera in front of the camera, work my iPad, and all of this. You know what? This coronavirus is certainly challenging all of us in the way of technology. So just let me know that you're with me and that you are ready to have this good conversation that we're about to enter. On this evening, I want to talk about being single, dating, and being a Christian in this 21st century culture. And tonight, we're going to get it from a male perspective. I mean, I have these conversations all the time with females, but not often do I get an opportunity to, talk to the guys and the gals and have the guys do the talking. Normally, when we get into these conversations, the women do all the talking and the guys just kind of, they just kind of pull back. But tonight, I got some of my brother friends that are going to be on with me, and they're going to give us this whole idea of being single, dating, and they're going to give it to us from a male perspective. All right, and so y'all know Courtney is behind the scenes. He's helping me. He's my producer, and I'm so thankful for his patience with me, because this gets to be really, really, really tedious with me with all of this stuff. As a matter of fact, Courtney's got to show me. He's got to come get my iPad and work this piece out so that I can read your comments. All right, have you invited some people in? Because we're gonna get this party started. All right, Courtney, you're gonna have to help me though, and I know you don't want them to see you because you don't like that. Hey, but get me on so I can see what they are saying. I gotta be able to read your comments. I've got panelists coming on tonight, but I also, and let me tell you something, this is wearing my nerves right here. You ever had something just wearing your nerves and you don't want to get out of character, but that's gonna have to go. We're gonna do something with that, Courtney, next time. But anyway, are y'all tired of being in the house? I know I am. Courtney, that's fighting me. I know I am. I am truly tired of being in the house. But I'd rather be home and be safe than to be out there getting sick. All right, you got me?
So the internet, I'm trying to figure out why it is not loading.
Okay, we're having technical difficulty. Y'all know how it is. I mean, life happens. So I'm not sweating it, and don't you sweat it. My panelists are.
But let's get him on while I figure this out. He is in the queue.
Okay, and so people are able to see me, Courtney?
People are able to see you. They're saying, hey, Pastor Linda, glad you Glad to be on here.
Okay, so,
Somebody saying, yes, be safe.
yeah, get me up on my
Somebody
iPad.
said, Pastor Linda, you have been on it.
I'm trying. Listen, you got to get you a hustle. Whenever life happens, you got to find your next hustle. And I figured, I went to see Oprah. She was in Los Angeles, and I went to have the Oprah experience. And I figured if Oprah Winfrey can be on, you got to turn my body in. I figured if Oprah Winfrey can be on a stage with 17,000 people present and then being viewed all over the world, if she can trip and fall and get back up and pull herself together and keep it moving, I can make this happen. All right, so these few technical glitches are not causing me to lose my confidence. Oprah showed me something, you all. So, hey, we're going to get it together. In the meantime, all right, he's got me. Thank you, Courtney. That's my producer, Courtney Richardson. Y'all give Courtney some love. All right, let me just give a few shout outs. Hey, Jalita. Hey, Jocelyn. Oh, that's Joelle. Joelle, what is that? Okay, Jalita, that's who you are. Joyce, Sharmesia, hey girl from Little Rock. Andrea, Valencia, hey Valencia. Tyrick, hey Tyrick. Lolita, Shauna, come on y'all, get some people on because we're going to have a good conversation tonight. I'm telling you, this is going to be something, this is going to open a Pandora's box tonight. All right, so let me introduce you to some of my brother friends that have agreed to come on and have a conversation with me tonight. And the first one is my brother, Brian Hodges, coming all the way from Atlanta, Georgia. Brian, are you there?
I'm here, Leah.
Hey, love, how are you?
Doing better than I deserve.
All right. Look, you're so Christian-y. Better than I deserve. All right, I'm good with that. So Brian, we're not going to be alone tonight. I've asked my other brother friend to come and join us as well. Courtney, can you give me a little more volume on that too? All right. And my next brother friend is George Hurt, all the way from Los Angeles, California. Can we?
I can give you his information.
What? We don't have George yet? Right. So this is what I told the people. I said, I went to, we're going to have to call George back in. I said, I went to see Oprah in Los Angeles. Did you hear that part?
I did.
So listen, if the Oprah Winfrey can trip and fall on the stage, right?
Right.
And get back up and continue on with the show, listen, you can't embarrass me these days.
Hilarious.
I just trip and fall. I trip and fall and get back up.
Hilarious.
So yeah, these technical glitches are not going to sidetrack me. We're gonna have a good show tonight.
Oh yeah.
All right. So they're calling him in because I want the two of you to be side by side as I get a chance to really introduce you, because I want to tell the unique differences in who you are as my male guest tonight. All right.
Got it.
So how's the weather in Atlanta?
The weather in Atlanta is good. We only get about 90 days of bad weather, what I consider bad weather, but I'm from Detroit, so any weather that's above freezing is good weather to me.
Cool. So, I'm asking about the weather because it seems like all we're doing is talking about the coronavirus, right?
Thank you. Let's not talk about it.
Right. So that's why I'm like, let me ask you about something else. We know what's going on around the world.
Right.
Other than the weather, everything else is cool too.
I'll tell you a funny true story. So there's a guy I know, he, for some odd reason, cannot say coronavirus. So he keeps saying canarius virus. And I'm like, well, they're not treating for the canarius yet.
Listen, have you seen and I hope I don't knock this over. Have you seen the little video that's going around with the woman? I didn't post it because she was cussing so bad, but let me tell you, she was cracking me up. She's in the car, she's, lighting it up, it looks like what a joint or something. And she's like, listen, Trump. She not calling him Trump. She calls him Trump.
Right.
She's like, I need you to do something for these kids.
Right.
Let me tell you, that was so funny to me. Actually reminded me of my sister because she would do something like that, call him Trump instead of Trump. But hey, while I'm waiting, you're my jokester, you're my joke teller. when I need some good jokes, I always call you and you come through for me. So come on, single guy, what's a good joke? You got a good one?
You already heard it.
But everybody else ain't heard it because I got to get George on.
He's on.
He's on. George.
I'm waiting.
George,
I'm waiting. I'm just waiting. I'm just here waiting. I'm just here waiting.
Hey, George. Hey,
Hey, everybody. I just got the information. I'm on. I'm ready. I'm just sitting listening
okay.
now. I'm in the bullpen. I'm listening.
Okay, let me just shout out to these ladies that are looking. Well, not just ladies. Lori is on with us, Constance, Chelsea. Hey, girls. Hey, how y'all? Ebony Kelly is even watching. All right, so we're going to get this party started, right? So let me just kind of give the whole idea of inviting the two of you on. As I was considering this whole topic of being single, dating, and being a Christian in the 21st century from a male perspective, it kind of came out of a conversation I was talking to with Brian. And then I thought about it. I want to introduce you all to my guests, and then they'll understand. Brian, I want to first introduce you. Courtney, can I see both of them? Because I don't see both of them. I like to look at people when I'm talking. So my first guest is Brian Hodges. And again, I said he's from Atlanta, Georgia. And I throw you into Atlanta, but is it really Atlanta?
Yes, it's North Atlanta called Marietta.
Marietta, Georgia. Okay. So North Atlanta. And then, so here's the unique situation. Our guest, Brian Hodges, is, how old, Brian? Give me your age.
Closer to 50 than I am to 40.
Closer to, okay. And you're single.
Yes.
But you're single after having been married. So you're divorced, now single.
Yes.
And it's been almost year and a half or so?
About 15 months.
15 months, okay. So y'all welcome Brian to our show. We're being casual tonight. We're not calling each other by our titles. It's just Linda, Brian, and George, okay? And then Kamisha.
I was born.
And then I have George. And the way that George is different from Brian, not only is he out in Los Angeles, California, but George is, how old, George? How old are you?
43. Just
43.
turned 3 days.
3 days. Happy birthday, George.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So George is single as well, but George is single having not ever been married. Okay. So George is 43, single, never married. And I thought this is an interesting contrast here because, you get this whole idea of single dating and being a Christian from a male perspective from really kind of two perspectives. One person having been married before and one person having not been married. So I just kind of want to dive on in here, you all, because we got some questions tonight that are just most, I think, provocative. And I think these questions are going to help the ladies out. All right.
Well, let me start by saying, what's up, George? I have enjoyed your preaching for years, George.
Oh, that's a blessing to hear, man. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. We're gonna go change infos, and we're gonna be more than distant friends.
That's for real.
Okay,
Yes,
y'all get
sir.
off that preacher stuff. We're not on the preacher stuff tonight. Stop it. That is not what this session is about. All right, this is just Linda, George, and Brian. All right,
Yes.
no church swapping, none of that.
I
Okay.
gotta get you down, man. As soon as the quarantine over, rather.
Okay, so let's just talk about this. And Brian, I want to start with you.
Okay.
Because you're pretty new to the scene. What has this been like? Well, let me start. Before I ask you what has it been like, we always think that the grass is greener on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Married folk, think that singles have it better. Single folk think married people have it better. Now, you've been on both sides of this. Which is better?
Married.
Being married. Tell me why you say that.
I think it's always contextual, Linda. And my context has been all of the mentors in my life, whether it was mentors in the faith or mentors in life. All of them have been married, so I grew up seeing married couples. I would not say that all of them were happily married, but I will say that all of them were consistently married. And I don't even know that I'd like to say faithfully married, but I will say I'll use consistently married.
Thank you for being honest.
So I got a chance to see a number of good, solid people together in marriage, even if their marriages weren't ideal or perfect. I got a chance to see that, and it left an indelible impression on me, one for which I have always longed for. After I did get married, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed coming home to the same girl every night. I enjoy doing life with the same girl.
Okay, so stop right there, preacher, because you get preachy on me.
No, I promise I'm not. I promise I'm not.
Okay, so after being single 15 months, you say certainly marriage is better.
Yes.
Okay, so you do know I'm gonna have you back on my show, because if marriage is better, we have got to talk about why marriages aren't working out. Okay,
sure.
So we'll save that for another day. How about
absolutely.
that?
Absolutely.
So George, in hearing Brian talk about marriage is better, and you having not been married, did you just sneeze?
Coughed.
Oh, you know.
I have allergies.
Okay. Wait, you can't sneeze or cough right through here, right?
Listen, I was in the gas station and I coughed and everybody looked at me. Okay, so Brian, I'm sorry, George. So hearing Brian say that, and you've been this bachelor for, all your adult life, of course. Is single life the better life?
I don't know. I don't have the
Well, is it the good life? Is it the good life?
I can just tell you I enjoy my life, and I'm not willing to sacrifice that for something that I know that will take away from the quality of life that I currently have. And that's a very selfish statement, admittedly. But on some levels, I think you have to be selfish. I think what we do, I know we're not talking about that tonight, but what we do to be on certain levels, certain dimensions, is certain things with level of peace, freedom, flexibility that I'm enjoying. Now, that doesn't mean I'm anti or against. I'm just speaking from my own personal opinion. I have learned to walk in the ability to go where I want to go when I want to go. I get what I want to get when I want to get it. Be where I want to be when I want to be there, and sometimes that means alone. I don't. So there's certain things that for me to make that jump, that quality of life can't be sacrificed at this point. Now, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago, that answer would be different. But to be almost have more life behind me, most likely, than I hope do in front of me, and definitely quality of life day in front of me than behind me. I think it's just critical for me in these days not to do anything out of desperation, just to appease, the social norms of which I find myself in most of the time. Okay.
So they're saying that they can appreciate your honest answer, George. But there's a question out here. So does that mean you do not want to get married? You have no plans to get married?
Absolutely not. That's not what I said.
Okay. Well, I mean, you're not on the witness stand. I just want you.
Yeah. I'm with you. I'm getting at your questioners. I'm not you.
Okay,
I'm saying that at this point in life, it will be unfair to me to bring another person into that world and not acknowledge the fact that I have certain things, habits that at this point, old dog, new trick, can't happen. So if you're not willing to accept that, I'm gonna be straightforward and be honest just in this conversation to that person that there's certain liberties that I'm not willing to sacrifice at this point. it's no sense of me pulling somebody into that world just for the status quo of it. But
All right.
I totally want to be married. I totally look forward to the day. I totally idealistically want that. I just don't want it enough to sacrifice certain creature comforts that I have right now.
Okay, I get that. That's.
I would like to change my response to his, please, Linda.
That was liberating, wasn't it?
I'd like to change my response to his.
That was a liberating, emancipating answer.
I would like to, if you don't mind, Linda, I would like to add this to women. I would want my sisters to have that perspective more than a man. And I'm only have that perspective because of my age and what I do.
Sure.
So if, like I said, that answer would probably be totally different 5 years ago or 8 years ago, 10 years ago.
Sure.
I'm
And
just being
again,
real
I got many
where I'm
people
at.
saying they appreciate your honesty. And I'm sure, George, if a lot of women would own it, they enjoy their creature comforts as well. But we do have this pressure in our society to get married. So they feel you. That's all I'm saying. They feel you.
And
So,
it's not just my creature comforts. If I was add this real quick, it's just not creature comfort for the sake of creature comforts. It's for the fact that I know my inabilities to adjust to that at this point, and it'll be too hard on the other person. They will go crazy. They'll try to kill me or something. Because something that's more silly is like putting the sink leaving the sink in the kitchen sink, leaving a dish in the kitchen sink.
Okay.
That's not a problem. And much as I want to be sensitive, and maybe the first month or first week I'll be washing the dish, but at some point, them old habits. That's just a metaphor to bigger things that I'm trying to say. So I don't want to present the position that I just got to be comfortable. That's not what I'm trying to say.
We get you. One of my listeners, one of my viewers said it's called being addicted to being single. Totally understand when you're used to your space and not having to check in. Okay, so let's move on from that because I've got so much I want to ask you guys. So Brian, you're new to the scene, right?
Uh-huh.
What has changed out here in this single dating game?
So my remarks are going to kind of be slanted toward a little naivete in that I've never been single for a very long time. I was a very young husband my first time around, and in my 30s my second time around. So I've never been single as an adult for a very long period of time. But what I will tell you, I find that's interesting and very unique is the speed with which everybody wants to be at the next place. Everybody. From first date to we're in a committed relationship and you can barely spell my middle name.
Or they may not even know your middle name.
They may not even know it. And I think that part of the struggle is you get Bishop Hodges, and that is only who I am in part. The great majority of who I am is a very plain, pragmatic, simple guy. And so you don't get, when you come home, you don't get Bishop Hodges, you get Brian.
Sure.
And so I think that one of the things that just kind of makes me have pause is everybody wants to be at that next place. There's no valuation of time or journey or time spent or the work that you put into knowing people, learning them, valuing them, compatibility, you know, so I think that's what's challenging for me.
Okay. So George, beyond your creature comforts, and I don't mean that, you know, to be facetious or anything. I'm just saying, what's the challenges out here? Because you've been out here a long time. You're not new. What have you seen to be what's changed in this 21st century culture, in this, you know, where we are now, basically, probably from when you were maybe in your 30s or your 20s? What's changed? Have women changed?
I can't speak for women, only can speak for my experiences. I don't want to make general statements and get in trouble.
Okay.
But I will say from my personal experience, whether it's changed or evolved for me or devolved in a way is, I would concur with Brian, the speed. I think that's more with age though than anything else.
Okay.
With the speed part, but I think the level of lack of social intimacy, where you could be
Unpack
with
that for
somebody,
me.
they can yeah, so they could be on their phone, they could be on Facebook, or they want to take a picture to show somebody else, and you never get to enjoy one another. You could be at a wonderful restaurant, and the focus could be more on about sharing it with other people.
Yeah.
And then for me, also what has changed is this sense of, I could just say it this way, it's a lack of respect, like just natural respect, I think,
Okay.
or deference that takes place in conversations these days than compared to in the past. Whereas when I would pride myself of not saying certain things to a woman, or I'm not saying I'm perfect in that. I'm just saying there's certain things I wouldn't say or do, but
Uh-huh.
you could just be with somebody and this is your first time hanging out or first date or whatever. And it's a level of comfort and lack of just mutual respect that you would never do that change. And I don't think those persons do that to mean any harm. I just think our culture has become more vulgar, more profane,
Okay.
just more what some would do under the banner of straightforward. I don't think
Uh-huh.
we need to be straightforward at this point. It ain't about being the representative. It's about the fact we're getting to know each other. You don't know my sensitivities. You don't know my proclivities. And so that's weird to say because on one level,
You need to be gentle with me. Is that what you're saying?
no, you're being funny. That's funny. I'm gonna get to but I'm being serious because I think on one level it's like, oh, you say there's a lack of social intimacy. There's not a just enjoying the space of where you at right now. But then on the
Yeah.
top of that, when there is intimacy, when there is social intimacy, it's not as respectful towards one another. I think reality shows may play a role in this and just the nature of conflict. It is
Okay.
like I'm not the person that's gonna be sitting there arguing with you. I'll pay and leave before I sit there and argue with you. I'm not,
Cool.
especially arguing about nothing or just or arguing about different stuff. Now there's a difference between competitive banter. I love that, like going back and forth playfully, but just like
Uh-huh.
seriously, like that, like whoa, no, that's scary to me because I'm
Okay.
from Detroit, West Side Street, so 80s crack epidemic. So when you start talking aggressive to me, I don't want to go in that world with you,
Gotcha. And you know what? That's a whole show in itself because our social graces are just out the window. I mean, we're challenged in social graces and what's. I appreciate that, and I don't even know. I agree with you. I will agree with you that I think reality TV has ushered some of that in. Has made some of that the norm or acceptable. And so I think we really do need to look at that. Okay, but I got so much I got to cover. Wait, so we can't get off on
Let's
that.
say something real quick, just say something real fast on the positive because I don't want to lay that out there like that. I do
Okay.
want to say that as it relates to women involved in my experience, not for women because I can't speak from my experience. Women have been more professional, more goal orientated, more
Sure.
focused, career wise, professional wise. So I don't want to leave it just like
Oh,
that.
sure.
It also may
But
play into some negatives too.
oh, definitely. And let me just say for everyone that's viewing us tonight, we are not generalizing this to everyone. We're not saying every woman is this way or every man is that way. What we're just saying, as George has so eloquently put it, it's just talking about experiences, talking about those things that have happened, and we're speaking to them. So we don't want anybody to get offended and all of that saying, y'all are putting all women in one category. No, we're not. We're just talking about, that's why we're having this conversation, because in a good conversation, you can look at both sides of it. That's why I love a good conversation. So let me just stop and invite you to invite someone else in on this conversation. To those who are viewing us, get them in, tell them that we're on and we're having this conversation about being single and dating and being a Christian in this 21st century culture, because that's where I want to go to next. Just talk to you about being single, but now we got to kind of look at this angle of being a Christian and dating, because that's a whole nother level or layer to this that many women are struggling with. All right. So, but before I ask my questions, I've got some of my girls that I want to bring in. They have a few questions that they want to ask of you. And so let me pull in April first. April is from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I asked April if she had a question that she would like to ask you guys. And I'll let you give your narrative. April, are you there? Hey, love.
Yes, I am here. I had a little technical difficulty. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. How's it going in Pittsburgh?
It's going. It's going.
Okay. Hang in there, girl. So April, I just want to introduce you to George and Brian. This is April.
Hello. Hello.
Can you all hear her?
Yes, loud and
Awesome.
clear.
So April, what's your question? And do you want to pose it to one of them or both of them?
I would say, I don't either. Whoever wants to answer, or you both can answer. It's kind of a loaded question though. So many people have different ideas of what dating is to them or how to date. Some people would rather date one person at a time before moving on to the next person if it doesn't work out. Some people prefer to date multiple people until they decide to go exclusive with one person. So I'm curious as to your approach to dating. How do you feel about either one of those approaches, and how do you define dating?
So that's a layered question.
It's loaded.
It's loaded. So your question, you're wanting to know, do they date multiple people at one time? Is that cool? Is that what you're asking? Is that okay
Yes.
to do?
Yeah.
And do you tell the other people that you're dating, you seeing? Is that what you're asking? Okay.
Yes.
What do you guys say from a male perspective? Uh-oh, y'all didn't jump on that.
I'll go. I ain't got no problems. I think dating, to start with, the definition of dating to me is like when you are getting to know somebody personal one-on-one. So whatever that looks like, if that's dinner, if that's whatever, I think, and that needs to be clearly defined. Sometimes men and women are guilty of being something and calling it a date. It's like, whoa, this wasn't a date. And I've been in that situation on both ends. I've been in a situation when I thought I was on a date, found out later it wasn't a date, and I've been in a situation where I thought I was with somebody. The next thing you know, there's like, I enjoyed the date. I was like, oh, so just being clear on, whatever that definition is, that you're both on the same page about that. As it relates to dating multiple people, I think you're grown, and if you're not in an exclusive relationship, why wouldn't you date multiple people if you chose to? Now, well, you got to know your personality, you got to know your vices, you got to know your weaknesses, and if you can't do that because other ills will come in place, you definitely don't want to deceive anybody. But at the same time, to me, this is me talking, I'm not speaking for nobody else, unless you ask me, it ain't none of your business, because we ain't there yet. And until we there, until we at that point, and we need, even at that point, I'll make that exclusive call and I'll handle what I need to do to make that exclusive. I don't need to pull you into, well, let me call Jane, Bob. No. We're exclusive now. Just trust me that I'm gonna handle that. If you're not in a context with a person that you can't trust to do that, you got to give them a list and tell them who you're not texting no more, who you're not, you don't need to be with that person anyway. That's another one of those things that I'm talking about. I wouldn't be willing to sacrifice. I don't want to be the person that I gotta, hide my phone and stuff like that. If I told you we're exclusive now, we're exclusive. If you don't trust my character enough, then you at fault for being with somebody you don't trust their character enough. That's my perspective.
Okay. So George, let me just ask this, and Brian, I'm gonna let you answer it as well. But George, So who gets to say when it becomes exclusive?
That's mutual. That has to be mutual.
Okay,
We can't guess around that. We need to be clear on what we're saying exclusivity means.
okay.
Again, I don't think that needs to be a dissertation, but it does need to be basic fundamental expectations need to be clear on what that is.
What if she's ready to be exclusive before you are? Okay, Brian, wait a minute. So let me throw this to Brian because he's over there chomping at the bit to get on this one. He's shaking his head. Brian, who gets to say, is it just the man's prerogative or right to say when it's time to be exclusive?
Well, Lynn, I think George is, he couldn't be more on the bullseye in terms of my perspective than what he just said. He used the words that I agree with wholeheartedly, and that's mutuality. You know that we're ready to be exclusive when both of us want it. Both of us have to want it. She can't want it and he doesn't. He can't want it, she doesn't. It's got to be both. And so I think we're ready to move forward into a serious relationship, committed relationship, when both of us agree. Well, let me just kind of back up. So I think April asked a very good question. I think George did a phenomenal job in answering it. My response differs just a very little bit, and that's this. We have to define what dating is, but before we define what dating is, we have to articulate our boundaries and expectations. So a lot of times we get down the road in relationships and we have no idea what the boundaries are and no idea what the expectations are. So you end up having two people who have these deep assumptions and neither of them are confirmed in either way. And all it creates is high frustration. So you have to start with boundaries and expectations. If we're going out to have dinner as friends, we need to say, we're going out to have dinner as friends. I like to eat with people. Generally I don't like to eat by myself. So I go to a friend, I say, hey, you want to grab something to eat? And that's that, because I've already measured out the boundaries and the expectations. And there's nothing that's going to move beyond that unless we agree that it's going to be something else. So then we define what dating is, and then we determine if dating is going to be exclusive, or if we're going to say, you know what? We're going to have the kind of friendship where we can go out, hang out, go to the movies, come by the house, etc. We'll be able to do that. But if we don't articulate that and we don't say that and we don't determine what it is, then I think we're going to have a problem.
Okay, all right. There you have it, ladies. Oh, wait a minute, George, you got something else you want to say?
Yeah, I want to just say I agree 110% with that philosophically.
Philosophically.
This is just me being honest. Practically, that's a struggle for me because it lacks. It is so like formal. And I'm agreeing. And this is why I've gotten in trouble because of that. But it's like I would be so emotionally drained to like go out and eat with somebody and have to define what this is and define my expectations. I would fall asleep. I would probably get frustrated and leave, but it's more healthy. It's the best way. I'm not 100%, 10% agree. And I'm testifying. That's why I've gotten in trouble.
We appreciate that.
Yeah,
that's why we have both of you on, because we wanted the two perspectives. I wanted the two perspectives.
No, it's not a different perspective. There's no different perspective. I'm just testifying. My perspective is.
And you know what, Linda? Here's what I discover: boundaries and expectations keep people safe. Period. Boundaries and expectations keep people safe. Now, it is difficult for some people because some people, even if you articulate the boundaries and expectation, they're gonna do everything they can to push the boundary.
Right. Okay, y'all hold it right there because I got so many other questions. April, thank you for joining us. That was a great question, and I hope you got an answer.
Yes.
Did you get the answer you were looking for?
Yes, thanks for being honest and answering.
Okay, so continue watching. I got somebody else, and I got another girlfriend I want to call in. Her name is Cheryl, and she is right here in Memphis, Tennessee. Thanks. And she has a question for you guys. And I want you to hear what Cheryl has to say. Cheryl, are you there?
We still see April.
We still see April.
April. We still see April. We need Cheryl. I hope you all are enjoying Conversations with Linda this evening. This is your opportunity to invite someone in. This has been, for me, a rich conversation. Just hearing my brother friends and their answers to these questions and their perspectives about being single and dating, being a Christian in the 21st century. I have with me tonight George Hurt and Brian Hodges, one from Atlanta, Georgia, the other from Los Angeles, California. We're doing it from coast to coast tonight. Has Cheryl made it? Have we gotten Cheryl on yet?
I'm gonna transition on.
Okay, he's trying to get her on. So in the meantime, George.
Jay is here.
Oh, I got Jay. I got Jay.
I can put Jay on.
Okay, so Cheryl is coming a little later. Let me get Jay while she's close by. I've got Jay Henderson. I'm just waiting to see her picture. And by the way, fellas, let me just tell you that our viewers are really enjoying the diversity of thought. That's what they're telling me. They're enjoying this conversation and just hearing both of you. Because tonight it's not about being right or wrong. It's just about how you see things, your perspective. Hey, Jay.
Hey, how are you?
Girl?
I'm fantastic.
All right, meet George and Brian. They're our guests tonight on Conversations with Linda.
Hello, gentlemen. How are you?
Hello, Jay.
You doing, my sister?
So, Jay, what's your question?
Okay, my question, basically, well, first of all, I want you to know this question isn't pointed directly at you. This is probably a general Christian man question. But in my experience, Christian men don't necessarily want a Christian woman. And when I say that, more so it seems that they want a woman who is familiar with church vernacular, who is familiar with church protocol, but may not necessarily behave as a Christian. And I get it. You want somebody that's going to come to church appropriately dressed. You don't want somebody that's going to try to get change out of the offering basket. And they get some more juice and crackers after communion. I get it. But when it comes to the areas of, let's say, behaving chaste, being intimate, you see maybe they're not really looking for a Christian woman that is upholding those principles. So is it even realistic in this 21st century to expect someone to be okay with that, or expect a man to be okay with that?
All right,
Yeah.
fellas.
I'll Brian, you want me to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay. Yes, please.
Yeah. So what I would say to you, Jay, is you determine what your standards are. And if you hold your standards to a certain level, you don't bend or flex those standards for anybody. And so if you meet a guy, let's say, and he's a Christian or not a Christian, well, let's just say he's a Christian, because that's the context. You're asking me from my perspective.
Right.
So if I, number one, I don't want to be connected to any person that's not a Christian, period. I don't want to be connected to anyone that is not a committed Christian, period. Right? I want to be equally yoked with individuals, but I don't want there to ever be a time in my life that because I have propensities or proclivities or struggles, that I'm going to choose someone that's not saved so that I can do that. And then at the end of the day, feel convicted and say, well, I'm going to marry a church girl. I just think that's unfair. It's low. So I want to create for myself a sense of standards, because I'm not just a Christian, I'm a disciple. So I want to epitomize and practice in a deep and sustained way those things that Scripture requires of us. And so for you meet a person like that, don't flex the standards. This is where I am. I am a Christian. This is what I believe, and I'm going to do these things. There won't be the space, if you will, for convolution.
Okay. Well said. Come on, George. Bring it on in.
It's a tricky question / commentary, because it's about the other person, which we have to realize as singles, the other person is not relevant. It doesn't matter what other men are doing. It doesn't matter what they want. All what matters is what you are going to comply yourself to. And sometimes, especially for women, this is a hard word. You have to realize that singleness may be your reality. You may your standard may be so high that no one can reach it, which is not a bad thing. So you can't control who come to your front door. You can't control who you let in your house. And so,
okay, ladies, y'all heard that?
all
You
of that-
can't control. Wait a
And
minute,
that goes-
George, because when you say something profound, we have to take that in. You cannot control who comes to your front door, but you can control who you let in. All right, I got it. Come on, keep going.
And my point being is that's not just for women. That's for men. That's for me. That's for any single person. That your commentary can't be on what everybody else is doing. And I know it gets frustrating. Trust me, I know it gets frustrated because
Because let me stop you right there, George. Let me stop you right there. Because one of the reasons, because we're kind of tap dancing around this, one of the reasons it's frustrating, especially for women who are trying to live a Christian life, I hear this all the time, is these are grown women now. We're not talking about teenagers. These are grown women who are meeting grown men, right? And they get in a relationship, and the deal is men want sex. And so you got these women who are Christians.
And so the women.
Wait a minute now, who are listening to sermons that tell them not to give it up, keep their cookies, they're holy, beautifully, wonderfully, all of that stuff. If a man wants you, he'll marry you. And then, am I talking right, Jay? Am I getting to the heart of it?
Pastor Leonard, you are, but as I've listened to different pastors, I've learned that there are actually two doctrines when it comes to that in a relationship. And you hear the one where you're not supposed to have sex at all until you're married. And then later on, I was introduced to the other one where I was told that, God honors covenant. So as long as the two of you are in covenant, i.e. a committed relationship, it's okay.
Jay, that's called heresy.
Wait a minute,
That's heresy. Jay, that is heresy. That is heresy. Don't believe that one.
Several pastors.
Then that's heresy.
Were they pastors
against
that were
the
trying to date
Judeo-Christian
you?
ethic.
Wait a minute, were they pastors that were trying to date you?
No, they were not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
They probably were.
Flat out, Jay.
It probably were. You didn't know.
Jay, that is heresy. That is not the Bible. Do not
That
listen.
don't change my statement because she's a woman. She probably was trying to get with you. So I don't change my statement.
Right.
No,
Yo, anybody
she
saying that
blew everything I have been taught away, but I mean, like I said,
you ain't hear that. You ain't hear that from Linda. You ain't hear that from Bishop. That you ain't hear that. Listen, if I'm a liar, I'm not gonna try to make us say lying is wrong, even if I'm a liar. That still makes lying wrong. Just because it's your struggle doesn't mean I'm gonna legitimize it by trying to switch the Bible. The Bible's clear on what it says. I don't think there's any room for conversation or any hypothetical covenant, all that. Bible don't even have boyfriend, girlfriend. The Bible is clear.
Gentlemen, okay, so we're in agreement on that. But Jay, I get you. But what's a girl to do? What's a girl to do?
Let me tell you what she's to do. She has two choices: compromise and see how that works out, or stay faithful and see how that works out. That's it.
The first one never works out. Compromise. Listen, just you know, Jay, if you've been around, you know that compromise don't work out.
I mean, sometimes it doesn't work out when you hold fast.
Yeah, I'd like you to name one situation where it didn't.
It depends on how you define
it.
So
when you all say, okay, let me be clear. When you all say holding fast works, what do you mean when you say? Because I think for women, they're saying. I'm sorry, say that one more time.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm slightly different. Unless you define to me what works out mean for you, because there's a whole lot of people.
So that's where I'm going.
Oh, when I say works out, no, all I mean by works out is that person continues to date you. They come to you, they say, I really have a problem with that. I can't do this. I really like you, but I know if we keep dating, I'm going to cheat.
Let me tell you, I know I'm not a perfect man. I know a whole lot of men out there that's low down scandals, all right? But I've not met one that says, I like her, I deal with her, at least not in this age that I'm in and level of what I'm around, and say, I like her, I stand her, but she won't give me none, so I'm not gonna keep it up. Most men, even if that's their lifestyle, if you hope, I think women assume that sometimes, and Brian, you can help me, they assume that sometimes and think I gotta do it because they assume I have to do it. But most times when you do that, the respect just goes away.
Yeah, I think that most women give into the pressure of their man and not the pressure of their morals.
All right. Okay, you heard that. That's a good one. Let's let that sink in. Most women give in to the pressure of their man rather than the pressure of their morals. Okay, that's a good one.
At the end of the day, Jay, one person has to say, this is what I'm going to do. And I want to give you just some very pragmatic examples, right? If I don't like chocolate cake won't be a temptation. But if I like chocolate cake is going to be a temptation. And so I have to realize that I have a natural propensity towards sweets. So you know what I have to do? I have to guard myself from what I have a natural propensity for and say no to myself. That's just it.
All right. Okay.
That's so important what he said. That's so important what he said is because we haven't dealt with that as a culture or as a church.
True.
We act like sex ain't good. We act like all of us don't want sex. We act like it's the man who trying to get my draws, or it's the women trying to get all the men. Right. Everybody out here got all these hormones out of control that there needs to be some kind of discipline, some kind of restraint, some kind of acceptance of struggles, of failures, or how do we pick ourselves back up? The line.
Yes.
But
y'all
instead,
ought to hear Kevin over here cracking up. He's in the background.
But instead, we talk around it. We can go to homosexuality and all that on that. We just talk around it and talk at it as if it's so black and white. It's not as black and white. Because lust is the problem, not sex.
You guys on because I wanted you to talk candidly, and I don't want to dance around it. And the reality is that is what's going on around here.
I wasn't saying you. I was talking in general on that.
I'm saying, and that's what's causing a lot of the conflicted feelings, the guilt, the shame. Because I'm not dealing honestly with where I am. So I'm out here trying to deal with the pressures of this dating thing. Then I come to church and then I feel guilty and shame. And it's a vicious cycle.
Linda, I wanted to say one other thing. George made an incredible point. I recently read a book called The Way of Holiness by Steve Neff. It's an incredible read. I would highly recommend.
What's the name of it again?
The Way of Holiness by Steve Neff. D-E-F-F, The Way of Holiness. It's not hellfire and brimstone holiness, but it's consciousness holiness. And Steve Neff says this in his book. Steve Neff says that all of us have natural, God-given urges and desires. He says you could pray that God would take them away, but for God to take them away, he'd take away a part of you. So what God does is God entrusts us to manage those things. Remember what the book of James says, every man is drawn away and enticed by his own lust. Lust when it's first conceived brings forth sin, sin when it's finished brings forth death. And that's as preachy as I'm gonna get.
Yeah, and Brian's absolutely right.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Has to be, the conversation
because
has
you
to
do
be
know,
around
okay, fellas.
What?
Okay, did I lose the sound? Can you all hear me?
Yes.
I think this got some.
I didn't want to cut you. Go ahead.
Okay, so you all do know, because there are men out here saying, because I've heard them say, listen, these Christian women are wanting to date, but I'm a fully grown man with desires and needs. So you got men who are saying, what do you expect? You're not dating a kid, you're dating a grown man.
But I think you preface this, Linda, you preface this whole Zoom conversation with Linda by saying Christian. The moment that you put Christian in there, it changed the fact we're not men anymore. We're men who live by the code of scripture, right?
Okay, y'all, I got one more girl that's coming on. I gotta let her on. Do I have Cheryl yet? Jay, thank you so much. You got us on, girl.
It was good, Jay.
Okay, Cheryl's having difficulty coming on, but I got another question while we're waiting for Cheryl.
Okay.
Men don't always verbally tell a woman that she's not the one he wants for a life partner, and women often feel strung along. What are some of the things a woman should be looking out for when the man is trying to convey you're not the one? What are some of the signs that will let a woman know he's just not that into you? There was a book that was entitled "He's Not That Into You." Come on, George.
Brian, I'll take that one. I'll let you clean up my mess up I'm about to do on aisle 3 here. Listen to me very clearly. No woman needs any extra signs about a man not being into her. All she has to do is stop ignoring the signs and listen to her female intuition. The female intuition is real, it's powerful. There's a small percentage of women that can actually be misled. They're more crafty than men, they're more intelligent than men. We at our best game. The Don Juan pimp mentality doesn't compare to a woman that is not suppressing her intuition. Now women suppress their intuition and say, I'm gonna change him. He ain't text me in 3 days, but I'm gonna take something with me in his skirt and I'm gonna change him. It didn't say why he chasing my skirt. Well, that's what you sent him when he didn't text you in 3 days.
Right.
You offered that as the inclination. So I would say to you, don't suppress your intuition. If you ain't gotta talk big mama, you ain't gotta call your big bro. All you know when a guy is stringing you along. You know when a guy is serious. And just don't suppress it.
All right. Brian, what do you say?
I say that I'm not an LA Dodger fan, but boy, he gonna make me one, because boy, he showed batting 1,000 a night. He batting 1,000 a night. I agree with George again wholeheartedly. I really appreciate this kind of harmony and frequency that he and I have in terms of our responses. Linda, at the end of the day, I go back to something I said. It'll be a recapitulation, but here it is: boundaries and expectation. If here are your boundaries and here are your expectations, and that person is not living up to them, that's all the sign you need. Because you are not going to let someone drag you into the next part of life that comes with a ring and responsibilities, and they have not lived up to those expectations. You have to be true to yourself first. You have to be committed to yourself first.
Okay, so Brian, let me stop you right there, because that sounds wonderful. Boundaries and expectations. I am with you wholeheartedly. Mm-hmm. But now you do know that guys do come with game, and they know how to just give you just enough to keep you hanging on. No comment from the producer.
Hilarious.
They know how to give you, and just when you're about to close that door, there's that foot saying, wait a minute. So now that's a reality. Guys do play that game now.
But Linda, here's where we get to some seriously sticky truth.
Okay.
If a person is giving you barely enough, you still ignore what George's advice was, and that is your intuition. You know when a person is going to be in the superlative, and you know when they're going to be on the fringe. You know when they're going to be ancillary, and you know when they're going to be peripheral.
Okay, break all that down. Whoa. You know you are my intelligent friend. Listen, seminary trained. You are intelligent. All of that. What is it when he's superlative? What does that look like?
When he's at his absolute best, and when he's at his absolute least.
Okay, there you go. Break it down. The common people heard it gladly.
Linda, you know when he is. You know when he's all in, and you know when he's barely in. And I don't know of a woman, I'm like George, I don't know of a woman that doesn't know. I know women, when you're telling them your narrative, your personal story, I'm telling you, I've seen them sit at a table and their countenance change, and you can tell they smell a dead cat. And all you've been doing is telling your story, and they just know. So whenever you suppress what you know, you end up living with what you refuse to acknowledge.
Wow. Okay, so it's so much to be talked about, and I can't. This show could really go on and on. But we're gonna have to have a part 2.
I ain't got nothing to do. I'm in quarantine, so I ain't got nothing to do. So we ain't got to cut nice for. I'm quarantined. I ain't got nowhere to go. Everything been canceled. I'm supposed to be in Memphis right now, but everything's canceled. So don't
You're
rush it
right.
for me. Now, if Brian got somewhere to go, I'm bored. This is the most socialization I've had in a long time.
Listen,
I want to say something to that. I want to put some mustard on that hot dog, Linda, before you go to your next question. And I want to stress the fact that what that question is about. That question is about how do I handle my compromise,
Yes.
not how do I handle what a man is giving me. Because if you
Okay,
don't
that's good.
compromise,
That's
I'm
good.
not just talking about, and I'm not just talking about spiritually either. I'm not just talking about spiritually. You have a certain banner of attention you need, and I've been talking this from personal experience. If you know you need a text every hour, you know you need a what you have for lunch. I'm not the person you should be dating. Don't try to change me because I'm not going to be asking you what you have for lunch. I'm not going to be asking you what you're thinking about wearing tomorrow. That's not going to happen.
Okay.
But if you start to compromise that and think because I look so good or I got so much to offer, I'm going to switch him and all of a sudden he's going to be doing that. I'll do that for a little while just because there may be some physical interest or emotional interest or whatever interest there. But eventually, that's why I'm trying to make it my initial point. When you at this age and this level of life or where I'm at, you at this point.
So I get it. And you both have answered that question very well. But let me pose this, because we cannot go the rest of the night. But can we do a part 2, fellas? Because there's so many questions I have.
Yes.
Can we come back next Monday and have a part 2?
Yes.
Okay.
I gotta do this with George one more time.
Yeah. Because I got 10 more questions I need to ask. But let me end on this question. Everybody talks about a list that they have, you know, of what kind of woman, what kind of man they're looking for. And maybe you're not looking. Well, I got 2 questions. I really do have 2 questions. But what's on your list? Brian, do you have a list? And if so, what's on your list? And George, do you have a list? And because you've told us everything that's not on your list, by the way, George. So what's on your list?
I do have a list, and once again, my list is really centered around boundaries, expectations, and preferences.
Okay.
And so one is I want somebody that's a high communicator, that that loves to discuss, that loves to talk, that's not
That's intellectually stimulating.
Absolutely, but even if it's not, if we can just talk, I want to be able to talk, and I want a person to understand that communication is an essential variable for every strong relationship. But then I want someone that is relaxed, that's just that's not hyper. I can go to a place and not be recognized and be just as happy. I don't need my name called. I don't need the attention. I really just I want someone that's just kind of relaxed. That's let's be happy that we're together and not we've got to be on the A list. I could care less about that. But then I want someone that is fun, that loves to do stuff. Go have fun.
What kind of stuff do you like to do? Tell the ladies, what do you like to do?
So I'm a man of many passions. I love golfing. I love gun range. I love movies. I love dinner. I love to travel.
Okay.
I love those kinds of things.
All right. So that round, does she have to have a good credit score?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And she's got to have savings.
All right.
And she's got to be on a debt elimination plan or debt free.
Okay. All right. This man knows what he wants. George, how about you? What's on your list? George.
Well, this will be our first contrast, because I don't want nobody doing all that talking. I don't want to do all that. I know I don't want all that. I want you to be intellectual. I was getting tired just hearing them talk about how much you want to hear somebody talk. I was just thinking, oh God. I talk for a living. I want to be able to chill in like blessed quietness, holy quietness. So, you know, I have no problem admitting to my levels of complication because I don't
You
want to know
really
your
are a
credit score.
complicated man. George, you are really a complicated guy.
He is not.
Yeah.
He is not a
I want,
complicated.
we're gonna start a t-shirt. We gotta get a t-shirt for you with just say complicated man. Complicated.
George is not a complicated man. George is a very direct man. He is a very he is an in charge man. He is a discerning man, but he ain't complicated.
Bless you, brother.
Okay, so she doesn't have to be a communicator.
No. Like, get friends for that. Like, get you some friends that you can, you know, talk to about, you know, everything that's going on and everything like that. And if we are communicating, you know, it got to be that mutual respect thing, because I can out jerk most women. Like, so if I can be a bigger butthole than you can be. So if we start communicating and it goes there, yeah. I can be more sarcastic. I can be more slick. I can be more, you know, condescending. Never gonna call you out your name or anything of that nature. But I think what I do sometimes it hurts, and I'm just admitting flaws here. So if that person does want that, they gotta have a thick skin. So we can't be communicator and then we're sensitive at the same time. And most women are, and they should be. So that's why I say, hey, get your girlfriend. Y'all can, you know, call each other, laugh at, you know, and argue, and then say, girl, what you doing tomorrow? With me, I'm gonna say something that'll make you want to kill me when I'm gonna sleep.
That is indeed a contrast, George, because I ain't trying to get in trouble. Never no more.
No, I ain't saying that. That's why I cut it off. That's what I'm saying, Bishop. I cut it off before it gets there. Before we can just say, hey, call your girlfriend. You ask her what movie.
George, the people are saying you're gonna stay single.
Hilarious.
So somebody's saying, so what do you want a woman for? What would you want a woman for? I mean, other than the obvious, right? But yeah. I mean,
I'm coming back next week. No. No, I would not want. I wouldn't want a woman for financial stability. I would. I mean, to be honest, I would want. My interest is family expansion. My interest is companionship, to enjoy the world together, enjoy the luxuries and bourgeois of life. And I think that's pretty much it. I don't, you know, that's. I don't want your money.
Linda, and I think too, the other side of the coin is, and this will be another contrast for George and I. I'm a romantic.
Yeah.
So I like all of the intimacy, all of the connectedness. I'm deeply affectionate. So the hugging, the holding hands, the cuddling, the being together, the walking together, to wanting to be present with that person wherever they are. That's all a part of a good relationship for me. And so I want that. I want to find in my girl what I don't find in my friends.
Oh, that's good. Okay, wait a minute. I love that. Let's take that in. I want to find in my girl what I don't find in my friends. I like that.
Absolutely. And I have
really so George, are you a romantic guy? Are you a cuddler? You want to walk the beach hugging? Your friend in there said no.
That's so mean, Kevin. That's so mean, Kevin.
For myself. No. On certain levels, I think so. I would say on certain levels, especially with somebody that I appreciate. I don't think I am for the sake of being. So like, if I'm not feeling it, I can't fake it. Like I can't do it for the sake of. I have to actually be in tune with you emotionally and all those other things. So I can't do it like, and I know we're not on good terms. I know we not. So So I don't need it to that level. And I'm not saying Brian said he needed to that level. So that's not
Does
what
she
I'm
have to
suggesting.
have
I'm
a
just
good
saying for
credit
me,
score, George? Does she have to have a good credit score?
I don't even want to know about that personally.
Okay.
Yeah,
I may
for
be
me,
wrong.
Linda, I'm different than George. I ain't scholarshiping nobody.
I'm not saying I'm not saying all I'm saying is I got good credit. If we want to talk about how to get your credit better, most likely how I'm gonna operate is your money gonna be your money. I'm gonna take care of everything else, Lord willing. You know, COVID-19 don't change the economy and everything else. So I do want to be in a flow where we're talking about those things, but they're natural. But I just think people are, there may be somebody that's perfect out there and then they got a 540. It's like, oh, we can work on the 540 if you
Okay.
can be quiet when I need you to be quiet and other stuff. I'm just playing.
Linda. Linda, I want to know what's next to that hot sauce bottle in his office.
That's the sad part, Rev. Nothing. That's the part that confuses the world. This is
so
all
if you guys will agree, I want you to come back on next because I just got 10 more questions I got to ask you. And
Yeah.
Cheryl didn't even make it on tonight. And just food for thought. I want you to be thinking, the Bible says, or we always say the Bible says, man that finds a good wife finds a good thing. So next week, I want you to come back and talk about, how is she supposed to be found? What is that all about? So I don't want you to answer tonight, but I want you to think on that and, come back ready to discuss that. And since we'll be coronavirusing together, we can definitely help the people out and just have some good conversation because that's what this is all about. It's not right or wrong. It's just perspective. It's having good conversation, which George has already said that's what your friends are for, that he is not looking for that relationship. To have conversation. Hey.
I say all that. Hey, Linda, can you send me Brian's number, please?
George, this is not about.
Send him my number, Linda. Send him my number. Listen, Linda.
He knew out here. I'm the vet out here. He knew out to this world. I got to school him on some stuff. This ain't gonna have nothing about chapter 16 and verse 8. It's some stuff I heard tonight. I got to get him ready for. I heard some stuff tonight that the conversation they need to get into, but I'm gonna hit my brother up one-on-one and let him know. Because that's what vets do. That's what vets do. I gotta help him out.
He said he loves being married. We want him to get married again. And
No,
I'm afraid.
I gotta help him out. So you're trying to assume what my conversation gonna be about. But Brian, don't you tell her nothing that I'm about to school you game on. But I'm just saying.
Don't you worry.
I'm just saying.
Brian, stay pure in heart. Stay pure in heart.
I need that number. I need to holler at my boy.
For real.
Yeah.
Listen, this has been wonderful, and I really, really appreciate you all having this conversation with me. I so appreciate. I had 3 brothers growing up, but God has just given me these brothers across the country that have all these beautiful personalities, and they're so deep as well, but can laugh at the same time. And so I'm just honored that I have an opportunity to share you with my conversations audience. So, hey, y'all hang in there, stay safe, keep washing your hands, right? I know you don't have no women right now, no women in your life, tell y'all that. So as your big sister, I gotta tell you, keep washing your hands.
Thank you.
Right, stay inside, and let's keep hope alive until God delivers us from this coronavirus. All right?
All right.
God bless you. Thanks. Conversations with Linda next Monday evening, 7 p.m. I look forward to seeing you.